recording. And also let's start the meets just in case my computer crashed. Okay, and hopefully you all had a chance to fill in the availability for the upcoming Fridays. Okay. Looks like it's starting. Can I get a mic check and that you can see VS Code on the left and the class website on the right? Awesome, thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay, so we were to go to our backend technologies in the Python section. So they're all, I think some of these exercises you can run within the browser, but if not, we'll use our containers to kind of go through that. Okay, so maybe we'll kind of run through this on our little in our container environment. So let's see. Python. Okay, so again, to set up our environment, let's do a docker compose YML. We need services. Let's do a Python, and let's just choose a Python image from Docker Hub. Sorry for my dog. Let's see, 310. RC is release candidate. I'd rather just use something stable if possible. .395 sounds good. 3.9.5. Okay, we'll open up a terminal. Stop and compose, run Python, the name of our service, and drop into the shell. Looks like we already have the image, so that's wonderful. So check out version. There it is. And so when you're in the container, you can run Python interactively with this REPL. Read, evaluate, print loop. So you can type in the command and it'll do it for you. So that's one way that's very interactive. But if you were to need to define a function or anything, it gets kind of tedious. And anything in here is hard to share. So we won't use the REPL. What we will use is kind of use Python as a script. And I guess I forgot I need to mount volumes. I need to mount our current directory into some directory within the container. I just like using this one, but you can use any. So we navigate to user source app. We should see our document compose. Okay, so we are to then create a new file. .py is the conventional file extension. And then we'll see our file in here. And if we put in some actual Python code, and we were to run it with Python and then the name of our file variables, it'll print out the results. So that's how we'll do it. And then using this file, we'll just incrementally add more Python stuff to it, similar to how we did JavaScript. Okay. Oh, dang it. I forgot to let y'all have a bio break, but feel free. I think this setup part is probably the most important. And then the rest I'll share as code so you can refer back to it. Okay. So we don't need that. Let's go to variables and types. So number variable. Oops. And then we just print out. So if you're familiar with C and JavaScript, you don't really need to declare if it's an integer or a float. It kind of manages that for you. So another reason why we chose Python over C. C is fast, but you have to do a lot. And we don't really need to do, we don't need to optimize memory. So we'll just take the convenience that Python gives us. Okay, so whether it's an int or a string, it's fine, and you can always override it, and you're still fine. Okay, so let's go on to strings. So I think single quotes or double quotes is fine. And I think you can even use a triple backtick or something, or triple double quotes possibly, for multi-line kind of thing, multi-line strings. But yeah, so very lenient. The one thing about Python is you need to be careful of your spaces and tabs, which if you're properly indenting it, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So here you can just concatenate strings pretty easily. Yeah, that's probably good. And then Python calls arrays lists, and it's the same square bracket. So 1, 2, and then 3.3. So there you go. You can mix types. You can have a list within a list. That's all fine. And then let's see. You can also have duplicates in a list. So similar to a list is a set. This is kind of unique to Python. Let me go into sets here. So to do a set, I guess you just use the set keyword. Okay, so let's do that. But the intent of the set is to be unique. So the lists, they're ordered. You can say, give me the second index element with 0 indexing. So that's the 0 index, first index, second index. But with sets, because they're unique, they don't tend to have order. So set. Let's see. So we do the same thing. 1, 2, 2.3. And let's see if that works. Okay. And now if we were to try and do another 1, I'm hoping it errors out, or it just merges the two. Let's see if it can do nested list. Okay, so it can't do that. Okay, so everything in the set is unique. So I don't think, so how you use sets is kind of like the Venn diagram. You see between two sets which ones are common, which ones are different or unique, and if you want to merge and combine the sets. Um, so I don't use sets too often, but it's there. I typically stay with just the lists and the dictionary. So dictionary is similar to what other languages have as structures or hash maps maybe, hashes. So dictionary, you would use the curly braces. Again, you need a key value. And then let's see if this string variable will get interpolated for us. Oh yeah, it's a colon. See if that works. Okay, so the hello, the variable got interpreted to hello. And then let's see if we can do the opposite where we use string variable as the key. String key. Okay, and again, it interpolates it for you. Um, you can have a list. And you'll see that here's our list from earlier. Even the nested list shows through. Okay, that's okay. That's the basic data types. Let's do branching. So, let's see, we don't need this. Okay, so let's see, number equals to 3. If number is greater than 3, print greater than 3, else print less than or equal to 3. Then we'll run our branching file now. So it's greater than 3, and if we were to change it to a 2, it should say less than. So you notice there's no more curly or parentheses like you see in other languages. It is all by indents. So again, keep your spaces proper. And try to avoid tabs. That's my personal preference, but I don't know if Python allows you to just use tabs. So to show you what would happen, so that works. It's indented properly, but if you start misaligning it, it'll blow up at you. Yeah, and then you just start getting funny stuff. So if you're off by one space, it's no bueno, no good. Okay, so keep your indentations proper, and you shouldn't hate Python too much. Yeah, just make sure your editor is set properly, so um, it's not in it's not injecting tabs and spaces willy-nilly. So just make sure your editor's auto formatting it with the proper characters. But yeah, because Python doesn't care what's in your editor. It just cares what's written to your file. So whatever you do with your auto format within your editor is transparent to Python. It's just reading the whatever saved to file at the end of the day. Um, is that okay? Or cool. Thanks for the questions. Um, okay, so that's conditions. Let's do some loops. So the most common loops I do is a list, looping through a list of things. So, and also looping through a dictionary of things. I'll just reuse this actually. And then, let's see. So it's a for, and then what you want to call each item within the list, and then the name of the list. And then for dictionary, I think it's another word. Uh, I think it was of, but we'll figure that out in a bit. So for each item named list item, in our list variable, print it out. Okay, so loop. So print out 1, 2, 3.3, and 1. And if we were to try to do the same thing with the dictionary, this dictionary key value pair and dic variable, and let's see if that works. Okay, so it doesn't. See if they have it here. Otherwise, we'll have to Google what the syntax is. Okay, so for in. Thought there was another syntax. Okay. So we have to give it the key and then value. Okay. So key dict value key key and then value. And then I guess you can do items. Oh, our string is not defined. I guess we'll just define a string. Okay, so that's hard to see. Okay, so that's our loop. And here we're going through each key value. So this is a pair. I guess we should just so here's a key value pair. Here's a second key value pair, third key value pair, and then the last one we have this list. So that's one way. I actually prefer this other way. Python loop enumerate. Actually, maybe that isn't with dictionaries. Okay, it's for lists because sometimes in a list you want to know which order, which element, or which index you're working on. So to do that, you can let's see, let's comment that index, and then enumerate that. Actually, yeah, we'll keep that, and then we'll print both. And it'd be good if I can spell. Okay, so okay, so here we just loop through. The second time we're providing the index of each element that we're looping through. And I'm just curious what a list will show up as. So here, yep, it still shows up fine. Okay, so that's kind of the basic looping. So those are good. I'm gonna skip the functions and classes for now and go into modules and packages. But the functions and classes are in the pre-recorded. I think this is a little different. Okay, so if we wanted to use one of the data analytics libraries, such as NumPy, let's go quick start. So we would normally include it. So when you see something like this, it's using that REPL that we were doing earlier, the three greater than signs. So if you wanted to use a library like NumPy, you would import it like that. But because we didn't install NumPy, it doesn't know how to find it. So in order to install it, we use pip. So pip is Python's package manager. You can think of it as how we did in JavaScript. We had the script tag and we referenced it to a URL to kind of load an external library. So this does the same thing, but it installs it onto your machine, or in our case, installs it into a container because we're running everything within the container. So pip install NumPy. It'll go out to the internet, figure out where NumPy is located, find it, bring it down, install it, either do whatever make thing it needs to do. And now, if we were to run it, there's no errors. But again, our containers, they're ephemeral file system. Once you stop it, everything's gone. So we were to do the same thing. We have to be in the right directory. Yeah, so we didn't do the working there configuration. So we just have to make sure we're in the right directory. And then if we're to try to do packages, again, NumPy is not there because this is a brand new container we're in. and NumPy wasn't installed. So that is something that's maybe not very familiar if someone's coming from C introduction to C classes at the university or Java classes, but it's similar to Maven, and if yeah, make in C is a very small subset of what pip can do. Okay, so so now that we let's install NumPy again, and then we'll just use some basic NumPy stuff. Okay. So here it made an array, and if we're to do this reshape, if anyone's have used MATLAB, you know how they convey matrices. So NumPy is trying to do the same thing for Python. So here we have a matrix. I don't know if those are rows or columns. One of them has semicolons and the other one doesn't. So yeah, so pip install NumPy, and now that it's installed within our container, we can use it. Okay, so let's see if we can do some functions real fast. Okay. Oops. So this is all that you need to define a function in Python. So let's do okay. So after we defined it, we can use it. So let's run this file, and it's being called. So here's another way of talking about packages. So Python treats folders as packages. Is that a folder? That's a file. Let's delete that. And then within each file or folder, files are called modules. So in Java and C from your earlier classes, you're familiar with the main function. So in your main function, you can, I think it's from the current directories, module, or file functions, import my function. And then from here, we should be able to use my function. So let's call main this time. No known parent package. Sometimes Python needs this init file to denote that this current folder is a package. Dang. Okay. Maybe I'll just do functions. Would that work? Okay. I'm sure what I set up. I'm not sure what I set up incorrectly, but sometimes you need the dot to say current folder. But here, it loads this file, and because it's loading it, it's actually calling this. So that's why you see it twice. And there's a way to kind of like there's a statement to say run these commands only if it's being called as a script, like how it is here. But you don't have to worry too much about that. So now it only calls it once. So that's how you can use a function from another file. And then let's see if we can get into classes. Okay, so you can also put in arguments. So you would say my function 2 provided by function caller. Okay, so this will be functions. Okay, so you can have arguments in functions. Very similar to what you've seen in C and Java. Okay, so now for classes. So you have the class keyword, give it a class name. I think this is a class variable. Hope you have some object-oriented exposure, but if not, let me know. So self is the instance, and then if we're to call it let's just do that first. So then to use it, we'll say class instance equals my class. And we need the colons. And then also once we've instantiated a my class and saved it to this class instance variable, save that instance of my class, we can use it and call a instance method on it. think a class method will not have the self, and then we try to call it here, it'll kind of bomb out. So how you would call it is like that, and let's see if we can print our class variable. Okay, so I don't know how that goes. Instance, so I'll skip that for now. And then when we call this instance method, and we'll get to our instance variable this way, hopefully. Self is not defined. So I think we need to have it in our constructor. Oh, that's how you get to it. So I'm jumping between here. So we would say my class variable. Comment that out. Okay, so that's how we get to our class variable. And then for our instance, I've seen it where we use a constructor. Just forget the name of it. Is this init? And then here we can define our instance variable. And then we should be able to print it back out. Okay, so we can refer to our instance variable there. And I think this, you can give it like that. You can't use the class keyword with the C, so that's why I'm renaming it that way. And let's see if that, no. Yeah, I think there's a way, I've forgotten. So that's a bit of object-oriented programming. I don't think we need to be too familiar with object-oriented programming to use Django, but definitely helps when you're reading example code. But yeah, hopefully I caught that in the pre-recording, but if not, and you're interested, let me know. Okay, so let's stop the recording here.